Hi, sorry. I was running around looking for my glasses, and then I thought, oh no, I don't really need my glasses to talk to Lee.
I mean,
I got them on just in case.
Just in case I suddenly decide to do something really visual for you, but small.
That would be so... Why small? Oh, yes. Yeah, visual but small. That's, again, podcasting gold, isn't it? This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
So, quick transition for you from work to this. How does it feel?
Yeah. I mean, apart from the fact that I'm not on a camera, this is very much what I've been doing all day.
Oh, what?
In the sense that I've been in meetings, I've been having conversations, although I suspect I will know more about the things we talk about than the things I talk about during the course of a day. Like, reprofiling funding pots and, all that kind of stuff today.
I mean, I hope someone in the room does know what's going on, though. Or do you think everyone's just a little bit in the dark?
No, everybody knows what they're doing. It's just, it's one of those weird things where when you find yourself in a particular sort of a role, you're often talking to people like you know what you're on about. But other people definitely know more, and they're just too polite to tell you.
Yeah, that's, and they know that too, right? They know that for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And I spend a lot of time going, look, I know I'm the idiot in the room. No, that's not fair, It's true, but it's not fair. Moving on.
But I think there must be a lot of times when everyone in the room is more or less equally in the dark. But no one is saying
coughing
that.
To it.
No one's what?
No one's coughing to it.
Exactly.
I think I'm very, very rarely in those kinds of rooms because, more often than not, I'm working with people who are offering help, and so it's kind of unspoken that they just really do know what they're talking about, and I should just listen and make notes, which I often do.
I have those ones where I speak with, I'll just say, confidence and authority, because clearly there are times when I speak with authority when I ought not to be, although not so often, not too often.
You're not a monster.
Not a monster. I mean, occasionally, actually, this reminds me of something I'd like to talk about with you today, and that is, have I talked about, oh dear, this is the problem when you've got a back catalogue that's nearly 200 episodes long.
Jeez, can you believe it?
I know, we're going to stop soon.
This evening, yeah, for sure.
Youngest and smallest. Have I ever talked to you about that?
No.
So,
no.
Is
this like last week's top tier?
No, this has got to do with being the youngest, and also it's got to do with being pretty much up until I was in my formative years. I was the smallest, and not only was I the smallest, but I also reached puberty. I was like in a class of 100 boys. I was like fifth to last, fourth to last.
I think we have talked about your relatively late blooming.
Yeah, but that's okay. But this is not about that so much. Is that
good?
Well, it might be, but just so you just cut me off and say we've already talked about that.
Okay.
And that is, I am often in rooms now. I enter rooms still with that feeling, youngest and smallest.
Oh, we have never talked about this. I am fascinated. Tell me more.
There's nothing much more to say except I'm in a meeting room or whatever at work, and I can feel myself expecting someone else to be the boss, be the oldest, be the tallest, be the... And I look around or I'll start thinking, oh, wait.
Yeah.
I'm actually the oldest person in this room. Let's just talk about age. By a long shot.
Yeah.
I've been doing this much longer than the other people in this room, by a long shot. And I have nothing to hang on to. And it's a curse. I should say it's a curse. And it's a curious curse. It's sort of, maybe it's a curse of humility or it's a curse of inferiority. I'll call it that. And again, don't get me wrong. I'm not an unconfident person or anything like that. I'm not trying to humble brag, opposite of whatever that is. But it is a strange feeling. And I don't know whether it's possible to shake it or whether I ought to shake it or, Is this making sense?
It's making perfect sense, and it's very interesting. And I'm wondering, to what extent is that also familial as well as the kind of being the late bloomer at school?
I think it's a very important mix of the two things. I mean, the familial thing, and we've definitely talked about this, which is, when you've got an older brother or an older sister, they from a very young age, their job was to look after you. I don't have any recollection of that, but I'm sure that my oldest brother and my sister, maybe to a certain extent, they had to look after the two younger ones, Ian and me. Yeah, and there's a certain amount of that, like you're in your 50s, you're all in your 50s, and that's still going on. Mm-hmm. But this feels slightly different. This feels a little bit like there's that thing about when you're walking towards a policeman.
And you immediately think that you've done something wrong.
Or you're the person who goes, fuck you. There are two...
It's clear which category I fall
Exactly.
into.
There are two versions.
Oh, no.
Basically, there's the I've done something wrong, and there's the confrontational, what are you looking at kind of. And I'm, by far, I've done something wrong.
Yeah, I am. I was walking Jeff the other day. And, hello, you disappeared for a second.
I was walking Jeff the other day. You disappeared for a second too. Lucky I've got my glasses on.
I'll continue to do something
small,
interesting but small.
Yes.
Visual but small, not interesting but small. But I hope it will be interesting. Me and Jeff were walking the other day, and for the second time in his relatively short in human years, but I mean increasingly long in dog years, life, he climbed into a police car.
Of his own volition?
Yep. So the first time...
There was a door open in a police car?
Yep. So the first time it happened, he was relatively young, and we'd not long had him. I'm not sure. I think William had died by this point, so he was a solo dog, and we were outside
still a puppy,
the church.
Though, really, yeah.
Still, because Will wasn't around for a massively long time, but we were outside the church just opposite our house.
Hello, you cut out again.
I don't know if you remember. Oh, sorry. Yeah. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, let's just hope everything's fine. Yeah. Assume that I'm going to come back.
Yeah.
We were standing outside the church, which I don't know if you remember. There's like a little cutout in the road where people can park. Yeah, but it's sort of a drop-off. It's not a long.
It's basically like an airport drop-off pickup zone.
Exactly.
For one
Only
car.
for Jesus. Yeah. It's where people can just quickly go and absolve themselves of all of their guilt, be washed,
nip in, nip out, feeling fresh,
bathed in his blood, and then off you go. Well, there have been
sorry to all the believers amongst our listeners there.
Why is that? We don't need to apologise about the fact. I don't think so. If you're bathed in his blood and you come out rejuvenated and refreshed,
I think
brilliant.
there was a hint of.
That's what you heard. Separate issue, separate story.
Okay.
Jeffrey was blessed by a vicar the other day.
Were you blessed at the same time, or did the vicar just ignore you?
She kind of said "God bless me" as I walked away, but I was like, I took that as much like see you later. I was less bothered, but she
or an afterthought. I better say that to the human as well.
Yeah, no, but she properly laid hands on him and blessed him. because
How did Jeffrey
she was...
take that?
It's effectively a stroke. He took it the way he would take all attention. This is delightful. I now believe in Jesus. I am bathed in his blood. Thank you so much. Kisses. That's what Jeffrey did.
I'll come back
He
tomorrow.
was very happy. Yeah.
I'll become
we
a
will
regular.
do this again tomorrow. Yes, thank you, please. I will be coming into the church and singing my best songs. Yes, thank you. And it was because she was going on to go and do a formal blessing service for animals in a church nearby.
Oh,
and I said that was lovely. We were having
if she
a
were
very,
a Catholic,
very nice
she'd be
chat.
going all St. Francis of Assisi on us.
Yes, but she wasn't. She's C of E. But we were having a lovely chat.
Right.
And she was very, very nice. Outside the same church several years earlier, there had been some, let's refer to them as miscreants.
Oh, were they youths?
They were youths, they were miscreants, they were wicked, and they were doing misdeeds.
Were they like that, what was that film, the original Rat Pack film, The Outsiders? Were they like basically a gang from The Outsiders? Or were they the Jets or the Sharks?
Did you say Rat Pack or Brat Pack?
I meant Brat Pack.
Okay, just checking, because there was no Dean Martin and Sammy Davis Jr. and Frank Sinatra.
I meant
The
Brat Pack,
Outsiders.
and it was The Outsiders, which was, Tom. It was pre-Brat
Tom-
Pack, frankly.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was definitely
Tom Cruise, Ralph
Yeah,
Macchio.
C. Thomas Howell.
Got to be an
Rob Lowe.
Estevez.
Yeah, I think there was. I think it was an Emilio.
Emilio.
And
Judd Nelson? No.
No, I don't remember there being a Judd
Molly
Nelson.
Ringwald?
No,
I think we're crossing.
No. Oh, I think there might have been a Diane Lane though.
Oh, that could be
Maybe?
possible.
Maybe. We're not going to duck go.
No.
We'll leave that for
No,
you.
no, it's great.
So the miscreants had been being wicked, and it meant that the police were away from their car dealing with the miscreants, and the door was open.
They
and
left
Jeffrey,
the door open?
yeah, I think they'd stepped out quite quickly.
Right.
But Jeff evidenced the flaw in their thinking by walking, and he was on his extendable lead, so I wasn't really paying attention, and he just jumped into the car and sat down in
Back
the
seat?
driver's seat. That was
Driver's seat?
front seat. He sat in the driver's seat and he just sat there, and I was like, Jeff, you need to get out of the car. And he was like, why?
I mean, you don't want
Physical
if he's gonna boost a car, you don't want to boost a police car.
No, exactly. But he was really happy, and we jumped out, and he left a very delightful patch of his fur.
Was he holding
Got
onto the
out-
wheel?
No, because he's a dog, so he doesn't have hands. But what he did do was just leave a big pile of his fur, and off he popped. Well, a couple of weeks ago, during the Euros, with the football games.
Yeah.
Is that,
That's
yes, what
soccer
they're
for
called.
all our non-English.
Okay, soccer. Yeah, sorry. There were 2 police officers sitting in a car park watching a police. No, they weren't watching a police. They were watching a football game on their telephone. Now, one might ask, why exactly were they sitting in a car
They sound
watching
like
football?
beat cops to me, don't they? Swinging their thingerings around and
in their fingerings. Do you mean their truncheons?
trenches. I've been watching, I've still been watching The Wire, and there's quite a few scenes where, police cops on the beat, as if they're from the 1960s, swinging their
Fingerings.
their thingerings.
I think in America
Get
they
all
call
your
them nightsticks.
Get all your
think so.
technical terms here.
And there were these 2 police officers watching a football match because one of the cars in the car park, their handbrake had failed and it had rolled into another car, and they had to wait for the pickup truck to come and move the car out of the way. So they weren't being lazy. They were just like passing the time until they got to the end of that particular task. Jeff did a poo. I put the poo in the bin, and then I don't know what happened. He just went, "Oh, look, Lee, it's a police car." And he pulled me in the direction of the police car, jumped up at their window to look through at them, at which point the female police officer who was in the passenger side opened the door, and he jumped up and gave her a kiss. Just jumped into the car, got on a knee, he was like, "Hello, how are you?"
So he's definitely someone who doesn't think he's done anything wrong when he sees a
Even when
police
he's
officer.
quite painfully doing something wrong, he does not think he's doing something wrong.
That's great, isn't it? Do you think he's doing something? I don't think he's doing anything wrong by getting into a police car.
Yeah, I guess not. I mean, he did leave an awful lot of hair the second time.
They don't put him on they don't put braces on him, do they? Again, another wire reference there for anyone who's listening.
No, his teeth are really straight. Why would he need braces?
Come on.
Oh, to keep his trousers up? No, he doesn't need to wear trousers because he's a dog.
Come on, Lee. You can do this.
Handcuffs.
Well done, you. You are so good. I knew you were just joshing.
He doesn't have hands. I've already made this clear.
There's a theme here.
Yeah. Anyway,
yes,
so
smallest and youngest.
Smallest and youngest people having... it's really interesting to hear you say that. And...
Is there anything else to say about it?
Well, I don't experience it. That's what I can tell you.
Do you think, but you've talked about, it's just, I'm thinking, I guess it's more generally, it's about the image we have of ourselves, so in our imaginations, and the way and when that, because you've talked about in terms of being, kind of a chubby kid, but you don't still see yourself in that way.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, you do?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Even when I was at my absolute thinnest, and I was, by any metric, thin, I had 12% body fat at one point. I was thin. There was, not the, you wouldn't say slim. If you look at pictures of me, you go, ooh, thin, Ozempick thin. Not quite, but close.
You say Zen?
I said Ozempick. Oh, of course, you don't keep up with nonsense because you're a sensible person. Ozempic is a generic... No, it's not. It's a brand name for a generic diabetes drug which has been used in Hollywood to suppress hunger. Exactly. And people have dropped pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds and pounds, and it has resulted in something that they are referring to as Ozempic face. And Ozempic face...
You really cheer me up with things like this.
I'm sorry, I'm going to cheer you up even further and say that Ozempic face looks suspiciously like somebody who is suffering from terminal cancer. So that very hollow, very sunken, no moisture and no fat at all, and the eyes kind of go right back in. So if you were to go and look at current pictures of Robbie Williams, the pop star, or Sharon Osbourne, or Jessica Simpson, or one of the Kardashian men, all of whom are doing it and all of whom have the same face. They don't look very well at all.
I didn't even know there were Kardashian men.
I think I might be meaning an ex-husband or something rather than... There is a child, I think. I've never seen the Kardashians, but I believe there is a brother.
The father acted on...
That's true.
He was on Friends, wasn't he? No, he played the cop. The actor who was on Friends played the prosecutor in the O.J. Simpson film. What? Ross.
Okay, so he played... Did he? Oh, I don't know.
He's a Kardashian who was the defense lawyer, is that right?
I don't know. I'm not up to speed with the history, except to say Ozempic. I didn't look quite that bad. But I was. But even when I was thin, I felt chubby.
Okay.
And
so, if we were researchers, I'm sure there must be some pretty interesting research there about the kind of setting, if I use that word, of our sense of the way our bodies are. There must be a point in our lives beyond which it's very hard to reorient the perception you have of your own body.
But smallest and youngest feels to me more than just a bodily thing. It feels to me quite hierarchically sort of informed.
Yeah, it's definitely a mixture. There's definitely a mixture. Yeah. It's not just about being the smallest and always at the front, the front of this class photos in the middle. Basically.
Oh, of course. Otherwise, they'd lose you in the mob.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. I think I probably carry my only childness into those sorts of situations.
Your only childness?
Yeah, I often feel quite apart from a group, and I often find it difficult to locate myself within it until I remember, oh, that's right, Lee, you've got to switch on that part of yourself, haven't you?
Oh, that also is interesting.
So my natural, and I think anybody who has spent a long time with me, so Bob, probably you and Lil actually over weekends and things will know.
To be by yourself.
Yeah, my natural state is to be quiet and to be by myself. That is, I really like it. Me and Bob, when we were on holiday, I think probably for hours at a time we didn't speak. And it was so lovely just to be able to sit in silence with somebody and not feel any pressure. I love it.
I have a confession to make here, actually.
Go on.
Because I understand that and I know that of you. And what was over the time, the years that Lil and I would quite regularly visit you both, that stretch of time, lots of Strictly.
Yes, yeah.
Bum ba dum bum 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 ba. Bum ba dum bum bum. Boo. That was Bob doing the boo. Because when we first would come there, I think you were performing.
Yeah.
And as we spent more time there, you performed less. And we used to spend long evenings, each of us, just reading in the lounge. And I got increasingly uncomfortable with it.
Isn't that interesting?
I've never said this to you. And I got uncomfortable with it because I thought, hang on, what are we doing here? We've come all this way to see you, and we're just sitting here doing nothing. And it was a little bit where it was like, I was kind of going, wait, hang on, I don't understand. But of course,
Yeah, I was just revealing my deep sense of comfort with you, but not articulating it. Yeah.
Well, no, and also a little bit like in the back of my mind, and it wasn't, not too heavy or anything, but in the back of my mind, I'm going, wait, do they not like us anymore? It just seems like they're not really giving us any attention whatsoever. That thing.
Yeah, and I'm sorry for that.
That's right. Well,
but it is my natural state. My natural state is quiet and is maybe it's withdrawn, but I think it's bounded. I know where my edges are, and I like very much to be with my own company. And I think I found that also to be the case with Bob. Bob as being the oldest of three. I think she was the one who was often given the kids to look after. And I think she really and particularly her brother, who was a good 8 years younger than her, 8 or 9 years younger than her. I think she just relishes quiet. And I think she probably missed those moments of not having to entertain or just be present for people. But that means that when I was just going to, when I go into like a meeting room, if I am on a slightly low ebb and I'm sort of tired or kind of preoccupied, I have to go, oh, right, remember, you have to be loudly, because if you're not loudly, people will think something's wrong.
That's so interesting. It's so interesting just because, I guess the extent to which, I guess perhaps the question there for me, and we should wrap this up really, which is to what extent each of us is aware, or whether it's useful being aware of the conditions of our performing in the world. And is it useful to know that about yourself, for example? And is it useful for me to know that about myself and listeners?
Well,
all of you.
Turn that question from something rhetorical to something to respond to. Is it useful for you to know that of yourself?
I don't think it was rhetorical, but
I wondered if you were just going to leave it hanging, because I am curious. Do you find it useful to know that of yourself, to know that you walk into a room as the smallest and the youngest, and you have to occasionally go, whoa,
I have to shrug it. I have to shrug it off. Yeah. I definitely have to shrug it off. Yeah, where I have to go, whoa, hang on, I can't. I just can't. And also, there's also a certain amount of I recognise the absurdity of it. Like, it's kind of funny. So it doesn't. I should be very clear. I'm not. This doesn't feel pathological or somehow disruptive or heavy, or however you want to describe that. It just is something to notice and go, wow, it's really. I'm waiting. Wait, hang on, look. But it is weird because, and that's also the strangest part of course, getting physically older, is I look at myself and go, that can't be right.
Yeah.
That cannot be right.
Yeah.
That can be. I'm still the youngest in the room, kind of, and so I always had that kind of slightly babyish looks, and and I don't. I don't.
Well, you'll always be. No, you won't.
We could finish this episode by me just saying, "Oh, fuck you."
I was just going to say you'll always be smaller and younger than me, but that's not true.
I was smaller and older.
I mean, I would never say that, but you would be. Now you can say, "Oh, fuck you."
Fuck you, asshole. Hey,